this week's Friday Food Fix. Today we are starting to get ready for the holidays and we are going to be baking some cookies. Over in the Make Ahead Meal Masters Facebook group, I created a poll and asked the members what kind of cookie they most want to learn to make for the holidays this year. And they chose peanut butter blossoms. So that's what we're going to be making today. I went through my recipe binder and found my Nana's recipe. Oh, the oven is preheated for us. Found the recipe that my Nana gave me for peanut butter blossoms. So we're going to use this one and they always come out great. So let's get started. These are really easy cookies because all we're going to do is put the ingredients into a mixing bowl, mix them up, and we're ready to start rolling cookies. So I'm going to start off with my flour. The recipe calls for 1 3/4 cups of flour. So I'm going to add that to my mixing bowl first. I have a KitchenAid mixer over here. If you don't have a KitchenAid, that's okay. You can use hand beaters or whatever you have that's going to combine your ingredients. 1 3/4 cups of flour. I'm using a 1/2 cup because right now I can't find my full cup. I think my daughter took it to play with it and it has not shown up again since. And 1 more 1/4 cup. Perfect. Flour is in. The next step is to add baking soda. We need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So let's get that in our bowl. This is just going to help them rise a tiny bit when they're cooking. And we need a 1/2 cup of sugar. We're going to do a 1/2 cup of regular sugar and a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I realized right before I got started here that I am out of brown sugar at the moment, but that's okay because what I normally do anyhow is make my own brown sugar, which is super easy. All brown sugar is adding molasses to white sugar. So I'm going to do a full cup of white sugar. The recipe calls for a 1/2 cup of white sugar and a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. So if you have brown sugar, go ahead and use a 1/2 cup of that. Since I don't have brown sugar, I'm just going to put in about a 1/2 teaspoon of molasses, and that's going to make my brown sugar. The next ingredient is a 1/2 cup of shortening. So shortening comes in these nifty little packets like this. I already cut mine because I had used some of it for another recipe before. So all we're going to do is get a 1/2 cup of shortening and we're going to add that into our mixing bowl as well. The next ingredient is a 1/2 cup of peanut butter. We want smooth peanut butter. I use Jif Natural just because that's what I have. So any peanut butter that you have in your cabinet is perfect. My kids like this kind for their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, so this is what I'm going to use. 1/2 cup, I'm going to eyeball it just because if I put the peanut butter in here, it's going to get all stuck and make a mess. And like with most things, it's not going to make a huge difference if you have a little bit more or a little bit less. A little extra peanut butter never hurt. So let's take a look. The next step is 1 egg. So I'm going to go ahead and crack 1 egg into my bowl. And after the egg, 2 tablespoons of milk. 1 and 2. And the last thing is 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then that's going to be all of our ingredients in our mixing bowl. We're going to turn it on, and now that we have all of our ingredients in the bowl, we are going to put it on the mixer and let it get started. While that's going, I'm going to quickly wash my hands and I will be right back once that's ready to go so we can start rolling cookies. start your mixer out on low just to get the flour incorporated so it doesn't fly everywhere. And then you can increase the speed to really get all of your ingredients mixed together. Let's take a look at what our dough looks like. It should have come together. It smells very peanut buttery. And you should be able to pick it up and kind of squish it together. We want it kind of like a Play-Doh consistency, because now we're going to get ready to start rolling our dough into balls for our cookies. We are going to put a little bit of sugar into a separate bowl because we're going to be rolling the cookies in the sugar before we put them on the baking sheets. So on my baking sheets, all I did was put a piece of parchment paper that's going to keep the cookies from sticking. I got the Reynolds baking sheets for parchment paper. They're already pre-cut, and you just put it on the baking sheet and you are ready to go. By the way, my oven was preheating to 375. We're going to be baking them in the 375-degree oven for about 10 minutes. So once your dough has come together, we are just going to take about a teaspoon size piece. So we don't want these to be terribly big. So about like that. And we're going to roll them around in the sugar. And then we're going to place them on the baking sheet. We want to keep a little bit of distance between them just so they don't bake into each other when they're in the oven. We are going to keep rolling these until our baking sheets are full, and then we're going to pop them in the oven for about 10 minutes. When they come out, we're going to put the Hershey Kisses up on top of them, and they are going to be ready to serve at your next holiday gathering. I'm going to go ahead and finish rolling and adding the sugar and putting them on the baking sheet, and then I'm going to pop them in the oven, and I will meet you back here once they come out. See you in just a second. So the cookies are just about done baking in the oven. While they were cooking, I just took a few minutes to clean up a little bit, and I had a little bit of dough left over in my mixing bowl after I filled my 2 baking sheets. So I went ahead and rolled that out as well into my little cookie balls and rolled those in sugar. And I didn't wait until those came out of the oven. I put them on a new sheet of parchment paper so that all I have to do is lift one off and put this one on and stick them in the oven, and my next batch will be done quickly. You can also use the time that the cookies are baking to go ahead and unwrap your Hershey Kisses. I just bought a bag of the regular ones. They're even the Christmassy bag that they come in, and I just unwrapped them and put them in a bowl so that they are ready when the cookies come out of the oven. Because our next step is going to be to press a Hershey Kiss right into the center of each of the cookies. Out of my batch, I got about 40 cookies. I think I have about 15 on each tray in there and 10 more here. So approximately 40 cookies is how much one batch makes. This is a really good cookie for cookie exchanges. Just double check and make sure there are no peanut allergies, since these do have the peanut butter in them, but they make a nice large amount that you could divide it up among several different trays to give out at a cookie exchange. You could also use it when people come over to your house to offer them. I like to have several different kinds of cookies to offer. I usually make 2 or 3 batches of different cookies every Christmas, so we have enough. Oh, let me check the cookies. They are looking good. They were in the oven for 10 minutes, and what you're looking for is they should have puffed up a little bit. They are cracked on the top, which is good, and we're going to push the Hershey Kisses in, and they're going to crack even a little bit more. And we don't want to burn them on the bottoms, so that was about perfect. If yours aren't puffed up yet at the end of the 10 minutes, they could go for just another minute or 2, but mine are looking good. Now what I'm going to do is take those Hershey Kisses and I'm just going to press one down in the center of each cookie. And it's going to melt into it a little bit, and that's going to hold the Hershey Kisses in place. Let me just do a few more and then I'll hold it up and you can see what they look like. Right there is what they are going to look like with the Hershey Kisses in the center. They look delicious. I'm going to go ahead and keep adding the Hershey Kisses. If you would like this recipe for peanut butter blossoms, all you need to do is head over to the Make Ahead Meal Masters Facebook group, and I'm going to be emailing this out to all the members today. If you're on Instagram, you can go to the link in my bio and you'll be able to find the link to the group there. If you are on Facebook or on YouTube, you can look in the description and I have the link there. You can just go ahead and click through and I will make sure to get this recipe to you so that you are completely ready for all of your holiday gatherings this year. If you become a member of the Make Ahead Meal Masters Facebook group, you can also join us for our December challenge. It's just different activities to help you get ready for the holidays. And one of them, actually two of them, are baking batches of cookies, so this can count as one of those. All right, I will see you next week for our next Friday Food Fix. See you then. Bye.